So I do want to spend a few minutes talking about what is going down right now with Charlotte Katakuri, my main man, a bounty over 1 billion, one of the finest warriors that the One Piece War verse has to offer, against Monkey D. Luffy, the MC of the One Piece War verse. And what may result in the next few chapters is Luffy awakening something that will lead to a Gear 5. Now, my choice of words are very specific there for a very good reason. You see, some folks believe that Luffy already has a Gear 5. No. I want to say just the fact of no. I don't think that Luffy has already attained a Gear 5. But what I do see happening in this particular skirmish against Katakuri is Luffy awakening something that will eventually lead to a Gear 5. Now, you say awakening, well then you mean awakening. Not necessarily, but we'll get to that real soon. First and foremost, Luffy right now is getting punked, schooled by Katakuri. Katakuri right now doesn't even seem to be trying that much. He is a very devastating paramecia that has Logia attributes. He showcased some abilities that Luffy can use and he's mimicked them. He showcased some abilities of Caribou. He has phenomenal Kenboshin Haki. Absolutely stunning Kenboshin Haki. And on top of that, his armor Haki is very powerful to where he can even compete with Gear 3 Luffy quite easily. In fact, his armor Haki can overwhelm a Gear 3 Luffy. Now, when it comes to a Gear 4 Luffy, we haven't seen that yet against Katakuri. However, given that Gear 4 Luffy couldn't beat Cracker, albeit Cracker, his specialty seems to be Busou Shokuhaki, and Katakuri's is Kenboshin Haki. So from that standpoint of armor Haki, maybe a Gear 4 Luffy can overwhelm a Katakuri, because Katakuri's affinity for Haki is clearly Kenboshin Haki. However, I don't think so, because Katakuri is still the strongest of the Sweet Commanders. We haven't seen Lady Smoothie fight, but Lady Smoothie, I mean...
How disappointing.
I know she's powerful, but she hasn't done anything yet, so she's been disappointing thus far, really. But Cracker, in a one-on-one fight, could beat Monkey D. Luffy. He needed the support of the homies and Nami to weaken Cracker sufficiently enough to find an opening against Cracker and then defeat Cracker. But Cracker, in a one-on-one fight against Luffy, he wins. So it only makes sense from a power level standpoint that Katakuri in a one-on-one fight beats Luffy. And we're seeing that. With Katakuri, he is schooling Luffy. He's schooling him, taking him to class, and Luffy's getting all Fs. He ain't passing. However, there is a possibility that Luffy can go on some sneaky mode and steal some of the exam answers for the final exam. And what is this potential sneaky mode? Well, this is Luffy attaining something in the midst of the fight to where this allows him to either A, beat Katakuri, or B, escape Katakuri. Now, can he beat Katakuri? I'm gonna say no. Even if he attains something that later on leads to a Gear 5, he is not going to beat Katakuri. Understand this. Katakuri right now is slaying Luffy. In Gear 2 and Gear 3, Luffy isn't even much of a fight against Katakuri. He is slaying Luffy. In Gear 4, it'll be far more difficult, but still Katakuri would probably punk him maybe mid-diff. That's how good Katakuri is right now. My guess here is that in the next few chapters, we're going to see a Gear 4 Luffy against Katakuri. That's my guess. But afterwards, we're going to see Luffy attain something.
Maybe.
Now, what is this something? There's two possibilities that I see. Only two. Only two. Number one, Luffy attains Awakening. Now, given the paramecia trend of Awakening, that would mean that Luffy, he manipulates the environment around him and parts of the mirror will become rubber, just de facto rubber. Now, this could potentially throw Katakuri off his game a bit, and Luffy could use that to escape. I don't see Luffy being able to use that to defeat Katakuri, because again, Katakuri, he is at the very least mid-diffing a Gear 4 Luffy. That's my guess. We haven't seen that yet. but that's my guess. So even if Luffy does awaken an awakening, and mind you, it depends on what kind of awakening it is, because my assumption is that the Paramecia all have the same type of awakening, and my assumption is that the Zoans, with maybe the exception of the Mystic Zoans, they all awaken in the same trend. The Paramecia may be of the same kind, but we're not too sure. His awakening could be entirely different than what we see with Flamingo and potentially Katakuri, because in the previous chapter, Katakuri may have shown some of his awakening. We're not too sure. But that being said, if Luffy does awaken his awakening, it still wouldn't be enough to beat Katakuri, but he could probably escape Katakuri if he did so, and dive into a mirror somewhere in Chocolate Town, and then break that mirror, and then hide somewhere in Chocolate Town while he's recovering from his wounds and find Sanji and company. If he awakens that awakening ability, there's no way he can master that right then and there. That's not possible. So let's say that Luffy goes Gear 4, and then during some point in the fight, Katakuri does something, Luffy's really on the ropes, he fears his own death, and then that kind of triggers something in Luffy to where he's able to like change the ground, and like the ground starts to like pulsate, something of that sort, and then he can like springboard from the ground and wind up elsewhere in the area, and that would be that trigger to awaken. So he has awakened his ability to a certain degree right then and there. But again, not mastering. Mastering later to where he's learning more about his awakening ability, and then he can utilize that in a gear sense. The next possibility for him using a Gear 5 is going down the Haki trend. So Gear 4 is clearly Armored Haki oriented, but his affinity for Haki is Hao Shoku no Haki. Now a Gear 5 could potentially be a Gomu Gomu no Mi enhancement via Hao Shoku no Haki. Now we've seen the clashes of King's Haki that tend to also be rooted in Armored Haki clashes as well. But we've seen the sparks, and we've seen the people be knocked out in the area, and the shockwaves and so on and so forth. So potentially speaking, because his affinity for Haki is Hao Shoku no Haki, this may give Luffy the chance to, let's say, enhance not his Gear 3, but his Gear 2. Because look at it from this perspective. Gear 3 is inflating his bones and then striking with his inflated bones. Gear 4 is kind of along the same lines of Gear 3. Instead of inflating his bones, he's inflating his muscles. Muscle balloon. Gear 5 could go along the lines of Gear 2, but in this case, if we're going to follow the Haki trend, it'd either be A, Hao Shoku no Haki, his affinity for Haki, because we kind of get the sense of Hao Shoku no Haki, that willpower, that dominance, being the key factor in these clashes of Conqueror's Haki. Therefore, you can kind of say that there's some enhancement of power being done on the part of the Hao Shoku no Haki, or it's Kenbosho no Haki, where he directly tries to fight on Katakuri's level when it comes to Kenbosho no Haki usage. Now, granted, I don't see that happening, because in order to attain that level of Kenbosho no Haki, to where you can see the de facto future, I would assume takes years, decades of practice. However, being able to hear all things was a unique ability on the part of Goldie Roger, and now Luffy has it. But at the same time, being able to hear all things is also a part of the senses. And senses being enhanced in that degree are in the Kenbosho no Haki group. So if there is an augmentation on, let's say, a Gear 2 or a Gear 3 or a Gear 4, then it may be in the form of that as well, being able to hear all things, and then as a result, that would unlock a Gear 5. Again, it won't be enough to beat Katakuri, because Katakuri right now, he is mid-diffing Luffy in Gear 4 probably. However, it'd be enough to escape Katakuri, because Katakuri would probably be thrown off by that. And Katakuri right now is the only person in the mirror that can actually stop Luffy. So when it comes to a Gear 5, that's what I'm leaning more towards. And the reason why is because Luffy, he's honed his Duffy powers during the 2-year time skip, absolutely. But the main purpose of his training with Rayleigh was to learn about Haki and hone his Haki skills.
Haki.
And Oda hasn't really gone deep enough when it comes to Haki. In particular, Hao Shoku no Haki. Awakening has been around since Impel Down, but it was truly highlighted during Dressrosa with Don Flamingo. So Luffy's gonna need a lot more time and practice to, I would say, even get to the stage of awakening his Duffy power. So I would say, and hear me out here, I would say that Luffy probably wouldn't attain awakening unless he mastered his Gear 4. His Gear 4 has a massive drawback. I think you have to first master his Gear 4 before he could actually utilize a awakening ability. I would say this: Flamingo was a master at using his Duffy power. He had the bird cage going on. He had his organs be pulverized by law, and still he could use his strings to stitch up his own organs. He could fly around by using the clouds via his strings. And on top of that, he even had a string clone. He had a string clone that he made. And that string clone did kind of force Luffy to fight seriously when he was in the base / Gear 2 state. So Flamingo had so many options available when it came to his ability and how he utilized his ability. Luffy, unless he masters a Gear 4, I don't think is going to unlock an awakening. He has to be able to use Gear 4 to where that time frame is extended. And because Gear 4 is also Haki oriented, that means that he has to attain stronger Armored Haki as well. Once again, number 1, awakening Duffy ability. Number 2, Haki. Maybe he, I keep on saying awakening, but that's, I guess, a good word for it. Maybe he awakens some degree of greater Haki control via Haoshogun Haki or Kenboshin Haki. This gives him the leg up with Katakuri for a few seconds, allowing him to escape, and then later on, when he focuses using that, he then attains a Gear 5. But I don't think he'll attain a Gear 5 in the middle of this fight, like a de facto Gear 5. If Luffy did have a Gear 5, then why the hell didn't he use that against someone like Cracker? Gear 4 wasn't enough against Cracker, nor near enough. And yet, it didn't even seem like the thought crossed his mind to even use a Gear 5 if he already had a Gear 5 against someone like Cracker. Now, maybe you can say that the circumstances are different in this case, and you could be right. But if he did already know a Gear 5, then I would start questioning some continuity issues when it comes to One Piece, when it comes to Luffy's training. I really would. I definitely would. Especially if his Gear 5 wasn't Haki oriented, but more so it was awakening oriented. Yeah, that'd be really weird. Like, some folks think that Luffy already has his awakening. I don't. No, I don't see that being the case at all. And if that's the case, then the Gear 5 has to be Haki oriented. It has to be. So, that being said, I'm done. Let me know your thoughts on the matter at hand. You know where I stand. So that being said, guys and gals, I am done. Be sure to rate the video. It is not that hard to do, especially when I know that you all have a device called Zamaosu, and you use Zamaosu to click, rate the video, to click, subscribe, to click on that bell to join the squad, and of course, comment in the comment section down below. Peace, and have a nice goddamn day.